Shifting focus back to poll-bound Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will be filing his nomination from Gorakhpur Assembly seat in a short while from now from Gorakhpur Urban. The seat, Yogi Adityanath in fact began his big day with a havan, a special puja at the Gorakhnath temple. Home Minister Amit Shah accompanied UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. He has arrived in Gorakhpur. The two shared a stage where they both showered each other with praises. Yogi Adityanath had been the Member of Parliament from the Gorakhpur Lok Sabha seat since 1998 before he became Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh in 2017. Now, this is the very first time the Gorakhpur Mutt head priest and UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is running for MLA. Meanwhile, UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is being challenged by Dalit leader Chandrasekhar Azad, also known as Ravan, on his home turf. Bhimami Chief Chandrasekhar Azad will be taking on UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath from the same Gorakhpur urban seat in the upcoming Uttar Pradesh elections.
2019 में आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में देश के गृह मंत्री के रूप में आपने अपनी जब पारी प्रारंभ की तो उस पारी के रूप में पहली सौगात दी थी और वह सौगात थी कश्मीर से धारा 370 को सदैव के लिए समाप्त करके देश से आतंकवाद का नामो निशान मिटाने का। और दूसरा जो कार्य है 500 वर्षों के इस इंतजार को, जिसमें हम लोगों की सैकड़ों पीढ़ियां खप गई थी, अयोध्या में श्री राम जन्मभूमि पर भगवान राम के भव्य मंदिर के निर्माण का आज आपका गोरखपुर में इस आयोजन में आपका सानिध्य प्राप्त हो रहा है। मैं इस अवसर पर उत्तर प्रदेश के कार्यकर्ताओं के साथ ही गोरखपुर के इन सभी कार्यकर्ताओं की ओर से देश के यशस्वी गृह और सहकारिता मंत्री माननीय अमित शाह जी का हृदय से स्वागत करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं। माननीय अमित शाह जी ने जब 2013 में इस दायित्व का निर्वहन किया तो 2014 में भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने अभूतपूर्व सफलता प्राप्त की। देश के भारतीय जनता पार्टी के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष के रूप में 2017 में भारतीय जनता पार्टी को 3/4 से अधिक सीट उत्तर प्रदेश विधानसभा की दिलवा करके उस समय अपने कुशल संगठन क्षमता और भारतीय जनता पार्टी की ताकत का एहसास अपने राजनीतिक विरोधियों को कराया था। और 2019 में राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष के रूप में जब उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर एक महागठबंधन बना था, देश और दुनिया के तमाम जितने भी राजनीतिक विश्लेषक थे वे सभी इस बात को मानते थे कि अब तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी का क्या होगा यूपी में। और तब भी माननीय अमित शाह जी कहते थे कि उत्तर प्रदेश में भारतीय जनता पार्टी 64 से 65 सीट से कम नहीं जीतेगी। और भाइयों बहनों, 2019 के लोकसभा चुनाव में भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने भारी सफलता प्राप्त करके 64 सीटें अपने सहयोगियों के साथ जीत करके महागठबंधन को पूरी तरह फेल कर दिया था। भाइयों बहनों, उत्तर प्रदेश में 5 वर्षों के दौरान भारतीय जनता पार्टी की डबल इंजन की सरकार ने आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के मार्गदर्शन और उनके नेतृत्व में जीवन के प्रत्येक क्षेत्र में जन अपेक्षाओं पर खरा उतरने का प्रयास किया। सुरक्षा, आस्था का सम्मान, गरीब कल्याणकारी योजनाओं को बिना भेदभाव के हर गरीब को, हर किसान को, हर नौजवान को, हर महिलाओं तक पहुंचाने और विकास की बड़ी बड़ी परियोजनाओं को आगे बढ़ाने का कार्य जो किया वह इसलिए संभव हो पाया क्योंकि भारतीय जनता पार्टी की डबल इंजन की सरकार आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के मार्गदर्शन और उनके नेतृत्व में, माननीय से अमित शाह जी का मार्गदर्शन और उनका नेतृत्व उनकी प्रेरणा निरंतर हम सबको प्राप्त होती रही और आज उसका परिणाम है उत्तर प्रदेश और देश के अंदर भारतीय जनता पार्टी नेतृत्व के बारे में, भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकारों के बारे में कोई भी व्यक्ति एक नकारात्मक टिप्पणी नहीं कर सकता।
So you heard UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath there addressing the crowds ahead of his nomination filing in Gorakhpur today. Rahul Srivastava, National Affairs Editor, is joining me live from Gorakhpur. In fact, Rahul, in how much time can we expect the UP Chief Minister to file his nomination papers? Who are his proposers? Right. Rahul, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Rahul, my question to you was, in how much time can we expect Yogi Adityanath to file his nomination from Gorakhpur Urban? Who are his proposals? Any details that you can share with us?
You see, Gorakhpur Urban actually is called the Gorakhpur Sadar seat. It's which has been with the BJP for considerable amount of time since 1989. In fact, it was earlier dominated by Janata Party and other parties, but it has been a BJP bastion since 1989, and that is why perhaps the BJP has found it suitable that Yogi Adityanath should be fielded from here and sent out as well. I'm standing here at the Maharana Pratap Inter College, which is actually a complex which has been built and as an institution which is built by Yogi Adityanath's Gorakhnath Mutt, which is here in Gorakhpur. To my right, if you see, if the camera can pan, that is the boundary wall, and little beyond that is the center where Yogi Adityanath is going to file his nomination. And it's a very low-key affair because of the COVID protocols this time around. The administration has ensured that there's going to be no fanfare and large crowds entering the nomination center. It's going to be Yogi Adityanath who has got 4 sets of nomination papers. One has been signed by an education, Mankeshwar Pandey. Then there is one Mr. Agarwal, who is an industrialist and a technocrat in this region. Then there is one who is from the Dalit community. What Yogi Adityanath signaling even through his nomination that he and his party believe in taking everybody along in terms of both socio-economic, social spectrums and economic. Yogi Adityanath's nomination once filed, what we are expecting that Yogi Adityanath will go and see Amit Shah off from here on. And there is also a word that the party
Right. We'll try and reconnect with Rahul. We seem to be having some trouble with his audio and video connection. But as Rahul was explaining over there, a big spectacle which has been in fact put together by the Bharatiya Janata Party ahead of Yogi Adityanath filing his nomination papers from the Gorakhpur Sadan or the Gorakhpur urban seat, Gorakhpur Sadar seat. He will be doing so in a short while from now. Ahead of that, he and Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah addressed a public meeting. Listen in to the Home Minister.
मित्रों, आज उत्तर प्रदेश के इतिहास में फिर से एक बार भारतीय जनता पार्टी इतिहास को दोहराने जा रही है। 2014, 2017 और 2019 तीनों चुनाव में उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता ने मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में उत्तर प्रदेश का विकास का रास्ता अख्तियार कर प्रचंड बहुमत दिलाया। आज योगी जी के नामांकन भरने के साथ ही फिर से एक बार भारतीय जनता पार्टी यहां से 300 पार के संकल्प के साथ पूरे उत्तर प्रदेश में आगे बढ़ रही है। उत्तर प्रदेश में माफिया 3 ही जगह दिखाई पड़ता है, या तो वो जेल में है, या तो वो उत्तर प्रदेश के बाहर चला गया है, या तो सपा की विधानसभा सदस्यों की सूची में दिखाई पड़ता है। उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर से हर जनपद में एक माफिया बनाया था, वो राज करते थे। उत्तर प्रदेश की पुलिस माफियाओं से डरती थी। आज योगी जी के राज में स्थिति ये आ गई है कि माफिया स्वयं जाकर पुलिस स्टेशन के अंदर सरेंडर कर रहा है। मित्रों, सरेंडर कर रहा है।
That, of course, was Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah making a big pitch for Yogi Adityanath before he files his nomination papers from the Gorakhpur urban seat. Now, on Yogi's big nomination day, folk singer Rocky Mittal dedicated a song to the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister. Listen in.
बस पनाए कभी लौट के योगी लिख दिया एक एक वोट पे कि सबको धूल चटा योगी आएंगे डंके की चोट पे कि सबको धूल चटा योगी आएंगे डंके की चोट पे सब बस पनाए कभी लौट के योगी लिख दिया एक एक वोट पे कि सबको धूल चटा योगी आएंगे डंके की चोट पे कि सबको धूल चटा योगी आएंगे डंके।
We're cutting straight across to visuals now coming in from the nomination center in Gorakhpur. UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will be filing his nomination papers from the Gorakhpur urban seat in a short while from now. This has been a long time coming in terms of a Chief Minister fighting the assembly elections. Yogi Adityanath, a five-time Member of Parliament from the Gorakhpur Lok Sabha constituency, is going to file his nomination papers for the upcoming Uttar Pradesh assembly elections in a short while from now. This is going to be extremely crucial, with the Chief Minister himself throwing his hat in the ring. Those are visuals now coming in, live visuals coming in from inside the nomination center. UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath there has reached the nomination center along with Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah to file his nomination papers from the Gorakhpur Assembly seat. Gorakhpur Urban Assembly seat is where the UP Chief Minister will be fighting the assembly elections on a Bharatiya Janata Party ticket. He has been a Member of Parliament. He was a Member of Parliament since 1998 from the Gorakhpur Lok Sabha constituency till 2017, when in fact the Bharatiya Janata Party brought him back from Parliament to Uttar Pradesh and made him the Chief Minister after having won a landslide victory, 3/4 majority in the Legislative Assembly of Uttar Pradesh. UP Chief Minister now they're filing his nomination paper for the Gorakhpur Assembly seat. Gorakhpur Urban, Gorakhpur Sadar is the seat from where UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will be fighting these assembly elections. Remember, Uttar Pradesh elections are to commence on February 10, 6 days from now. The first phase of elections are to happen. It is a 7-phase election, and Yogi Adityanath there on your screens right now filing his nomination papers as a BJP candidate from the Gorakhpur Urban, Gorakhpur Sadar seat. He has been challenged from the seat by Bhim Army Chief Chandrasekhar Azad, also known as Ravan, but many believe that this is a walkover contest for the Bharatiya Janata Party because they have, of course, been fully in control of this constituency for a very, very long time. There was a small upset in 2018 when there was a by-election to the Gorakhpur Assembly, Gorakhpur Lok Sabha seat, and at that point of time, Samajwadi Party candidate Praveen Nishad won against the Bharatiya Janata Party. It was an upset. It was extremely shocking at that point of time for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Praveen Nishad eventually went over to the Bharatiya Janata Party. He's a BJP MP now, and in fact the Nishad Party is with the Bharatiya Janata Party in alliance in Uttar Pradesh. You did see Dr. Sanjay Nishad, Praveen Nishad's father, in fact, the leader of the party, the chief of the Nishad party, on stage earlier, a little earlier today, with Yogi Adityanath and Amit Shah, as was Ashish Patel, who is, of course, the chief of Apna Dal, Suhail Dev as well, alliance partners of the Bharatiya Janata Party as they go into these crucial Uttar Pradesh elections, extremely critical as far as the Purvanchal region is concerned. Remember that there was some amount of speculation earlier that Yogi Adityanath could contest the elections from Ayodhya, possibly, in fact, reaffirming his position as a Hindutva icon, contesting from Ayodhya, but the BJP then decided to field him from his home turf of Gorakhpur and, of course, send out a strong message as well for the Purvanchal region, which is facing a stiff contest there between the Bharatiya Janata Party and the SP, the Samajwadi Party-led alliance. Remember, it is towards the last few phases that the eastern region of Uttar Pradesh goes to elections. Yogi Adityanath on your screens right now filing his nomination papers. Earlier he received Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah, who has been campaigning in Uttar Pradesh, specifically in Western Uttar Pradesh so far, because that is the region that goes to pose in the first few phases of elections in Uttar Pradesh. He received the Union Home Minister. They addressed a public meeting where Mr. Amit Shah, of course, lavished praise on Yogi Adityanath. It appears now that UP Chief Minister has completed the filing of his nomination papers from Gorakhpur Sadar seat. So Yogi Adityanath there throwing his hat in the ring. He is the BJP's candidate from Gorakhpur Sadar. He will be contesting the elections that are to commence on February 10. Rahul Srivastav, of course, is joining me live, our National Affairs editor from Gorakhpur. Rahul, give us a sense of the significance of this moment. Yogi Adityanath, officially the BJP's candidate now from Gorakhpur Sadar.
Follow me, the BJP has made a big splash out of Yogi Adityanath's nomination. The Home Minister Amit Shah holding a public rally, lavishing praise, as you said, on Yogi Adityanath's tenure, and importantly underlining the law and order situation in Uttar Pradesh by saying that all those who used to be criminals either have left Uttar Pradesh, are in jail, or are now part of the Samajwadi Party candidate list for this election. After this, they have gone inside the Kachehri, collectorate, where Yogi Adityanath has completed his filing of his nomination. 4 proposers representing the 4 different segments in terms of socio-economic spectrum of Gorakhpur, an industrialist, an educationist, a Dalit and others. Basically, what the BJP has done is it has sent out a signal to Eastern Uttar Pradesh. Remember, the Gorakhpur Sadar seat has been a BJP stronghold, not just the BJP stronghold, but even the Bharatiya Janata Sangh. At one time, initially the seat was wrested away from the Congress by the Bharatiya Janata Sangh, but since 1989, it has been with the BJP. And that's why perhaps the BJP has fielded Yogi Adityanath from there to send out a signal for entire Eastern Uttar Pradesh, where the BJP did well last time around, and also to UP somewhere that there are various caste equations to be balanced. When Yogi Adityanath and Amit Shah were standing right behind me on the days, it was very clear that the presence of Mr. Sanjay Nishad, the Nishad party leader, people from the Apna Dal and others, that the BJP alliance is looking at the entire spectrum of castes which had voted for the party in the last elections. And the very idea of converting this campus, Maharana Pratap, into college is a very interesting element which I would like to show you, is that in this ground, if you see the messaging which has been done through the hoardings, if the camera colleague Kripal can pan, there is Dharmendra Pradhan and there is Gorakhpur in hoardings, and there is a lot of Amit Shah. There is Yogi, definitely. There is Deen Dayal Upadhyay there, if it can pan further and show you. There is very little of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There is also, I think, positioning of Amit Shah being done here, carried out here, in terms of the senior leader who has mentored somebody like Yogi Adityanath. And this is the kind of signaling that the BJP will like, that it should travel all across Uttar Pradesh. This campus, as I was telling you, is important. There is this building on my right, which is named after Digvijay Nath, who was the BJP, the Hindu Mahasabha MP from this constituency, Gorakhpur constituency, in 1967. Now, this gentleman was the chief of the Gorakhnath Peeth and is said to be instrumental in the placing of the Ramlala statue inside the Babri Mosque in 1949. Then Mahant Avaidhanath, who was the guru of Yogi Adityanath, was a member of parliament from here, but also one of the key components of the Ram Janmabhoomi temple movement. And now Yogi Adityanath as inheritor of that legacy. And that is why perhaps the BJP has projected him from this region, and will hope that this is a big, bright step forward for the party's campaign in this election.
Absolutely. The BJP, of course, claiming that they will secure 300 plus. That's the target that the Union Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, has set for the Bharatiya Janata Party cadres as they, in fact, go into these elections. Those are visuals that are coming in from the collectorate in Gorakhpur. Yogi Adityanath has just completed filing his nomination papers. He was accompanied by Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah, who has been instrumental in scripting BJP's success story over the past elections in Uttar Pradesh. He is, of course, also joined by Dharmendra Pradhan, Union Minister, and the party's election in charge for the state of Uttar Pradesh. Rahul, stay on with us. Abhishek Mishra, my colleague, is also joining us from outside the collectorate. Abhishek, give us a sense of the mood on the ground as well. Party workers have thronged Gorakhpur today. They've turned it saffron ahead of Yogi Adityanath filing his nomination papers. He, of course, now coming out flashing the victory symbol.
Well, of course, Pauline, and you can just see here, we have Amit Shah and also Yogi Adityanath, who have just finished the nomination process and now
Right. We seem to have some trouble with Abhishek's line over there, but you did see Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah, Yogi Adityanath there flashing the victory symbol as they come out of the collectorate after Yogi Adityanath filed his nomination papers from the Gorakhpur urban seat, Gorakhpur Sadar, from where he will be contesting as a BJP candidate. Those are visuals from earlier when he was inside the nomination centre filing his nomination papers. A big moment, a big sort of political message which is being sent out by the Bharatiya Janata Party with Yogi Adityanath himself contesting the assembly elections. Rahul Srivastav is still with us. He is at the ground where earlier Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah and Yogi Adityanath addressed the crowds and tried to enthuse the BJP party workers ahead of these very crucial assembly elections. Rahul, give us a sense of the caste equation on ground in Gorakhpur. Earlier, you were in fact pointing to the fact that, you know, there possibly was speculation about resentment among the Brahmins as well going into these elections. What has the BJP done to ensure that the caste balance is right going into these elections and they do have the support of all?
Well, yes, I think if UP is called a caste cauldron, the caste cauldron's most tricky part is Eastern Uttar Pradesh. And that is why I will say that today, for the first time, one of the rare occasions when I found Home Minister Amit Shah turning slightly poetic. And he said that I keep coming to Gorakhpur, and each time that I have come here like today, I have found कि in Hindi he said कि गोरखपुर का सौंदर्य और जवानी हर बार बढ़ती जाती है. I think what the idea was, he was messaging to all the alliance partners and various caste groups here in Gorakhpur that Eastern UP has benefited under the BJP rule in UP and at the centre. Primarily because this is one of the most backward regions of not just Uttar Pradesh, but also the entire country. If we talk about the backward districts and the aspirational districts, these are the areas. If we talk about the areas from where maximum number of migrant workers from large towns like Bombay, Surat, Gujarat had returned, this is the area which had taken the brunt of those people who suffered during the pandemic. So Vikas or growth is one theme which the people will like to hear. The BJP's other effort has been to manage and balance the caste equations in the region, which are extremely complex. You see, the BJP has created some very interesting grounded alliances with small groups in this region. The Nishad Party, the Apna Dal and others have influence among very small but critical groups in several constituencies.
Right.
Now, these are the alliances which were unhappy with the BJP just nearly 6 months back. But the BJP has been working with these groups to get them on board so that the MBC and the marginalized votes which had voted for the BJP in 2017 and 19 stays with the party.
Right. Obviously, those alliances, Rahul, are extremely critical for the BJP's success in the eastern Uttar Pradesh region because of the references. We did see Yogi Adityanath make references to Dr. Sanjay Nishad, who was on the dais earlier. Also, Ashish Patel of Apna Dal, Suhail Dev, which is also part of the alliance. He was on the dais as well. He did, of course, refer to them at least a couple of times during his speech earlier today, clearly showing that the BJP is extremely dependent on these smaller alliance partners as it goes into these elections. So it has tried to, of course, draw up a perfect caste balance, a caste equation going into these elections. It remains to be seen how much it actually pays in terms of dividends when the results are out on March 10. Rahul, stay on with us. Abhishek Mishra is also live with us. Abhishek is, of course, outside the collectorate from where Yogi Adityanath and Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah just left after Yogi Adityanath filed his nomination papers. The mood on the ground, Abhishek, today, of course, has been one of jubilation. BJP has turned Gorakhpur saffron, but how are the cadres reacting? Because Amit Shah, of course, has set them a target of 300 par, 300 plus.
Well, absolutely, Paulami. We have been following this full event from morning itself, and the sense on the ground is all about Yogi, the BJP work, and Amit Shah coming here in Gorakhpur have added on to the value of Yogi Adityanath, showing clearly that how the BJP is very optimistic, not just Gorakhpur, but all those seats which comes alongside are going to be a major point for the BJP. Amit Shah along with Yogi has just left from here. We have given the we have tried to speak to him, but he did not respond to anything. He just left from there, but the confidence which was very much visible on Amit Shah's face and also on Yogi's face is a clear indication that BJP believes that there is no battle. Gorakhpur is all about Yogi. Purvanchal is something which they are looking at. But today's nomination, the pictures which have come out alongside, Amit Shah standing there giving a very strong message, because whenever there has been questions over CM Adityanath's candidature or his leadership or he being the face of Uttar Pradesh from the BJP has been made clear by only and only Amit Shah in Lucknow. But today, the visuals where we saw how he was standing alongside with him and not a single moment where he was not there, from the airport to the rally spot and then towards at the collectorate and now at the mutt where he's reaching. It's going to be a clear message that the BJP has taken this forward only and only considering the fact that this battle is intense and the central leadership along with the state is alongside to give a challenge to the opposition. Yes.
Right. Abhishek, stay on with us. Rahul Srivastav is also live with us from Gorakhpur. So, Yogi Adityanath and Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah are headed towards the Gorakhpur mutt right now. Rahul, the messaging, those images that we saw of Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah and Yogi Adityanath coming out of the nomination centre, raising their hands in unison, flashing the victory symbol as well. There were possibly some sort of murmurs earlier about whether Yogi Adityanath had the support of the central leadership or not. You, in fact, referred to that earlier when you were speaking to us, possibly towards the last year when it was being speculated whether Yogi Adityanath had the full backing of the central leadership of the Bharatiya Janata Party or not. Differences possibly between Mr. Amit Shah, Yogi Adityanath, all of that, has that been put to rest?
Yes, Paulomi, if you recall at that time when there were much more than murmurs about Yogi Adityanath, the displeasure among MLAs and the alliance partners and BJP leadership against Yogi Adityanath, if you recall, I had said at that time that if the BJP's Hindutva theme has to be the dominant one in the coming elections, then it will be difficult for the BJP to remove a saffron-clad chief minister. And that's exactly what has happened, because somehow the BJP cannot move away from that Hindutva theme. Right now it is struggling in Uttar Pradesh because that Hindutva or polarizing wave which was operating overground has gone underground, and the BJP is struggling to manage the caste equations. What has transpired in Uttar Pradesh, Paulomi, that when in 2017 the BJP was struggling to find define who should be the chief minister. At that time, there was a worry that if the upper caste has voted in large numbers, 90% of them have voted for the BJP. At that time, getting a chief minister who was from the marginalized caste would have sent a good signal to that caste group, but would have displeased the upper caste. So in a balance, Yogi Adityanath, who was a sadhu or a mahant, was brought in thinking that he will be largely a caste neutral personality. But over the next 3 to 4 years, Yogi Adityanath, the negative perception gained that he was more of a Thakur than a Mahant or a Kshatriya than a Mahant, and that's what went against him with a lot of Brahmin groups. The earliest voices on the pandemic and the suffering of the people came from the leaders from the OBC and the MBC, the category as far as the BJP's own ranks are concerned. And that's where the BJP got really worried and started working on these groups. And Prime Minister's July cabinet expansion and rejig had, after that the information came that 27 of the leaders are cabinet ministers and council ministers are from the OBC. September, Yogi Adityanath expanded his cabinet. Most of the people were SC and OBC. The signalling started happening. The contact networking started happening. The BJP has worked very hard on these small caste groups to ensure that the Yogi Adityanath element does get diffused in terms that his own personal image does not start impacting. Otherwise, Yogi's saffron image is the one that the BJP will like to cash in on. And that's perhaps is one of the more dominant underlines of the BJP's campaign this time around.
So Yogi Adityanath's saffron image, his Hindutva icon image, as opposed to his Thakur / Kshatriya image, is what the Bharatiya Janata Party would like to cash in on. Rahul, stay on with us. I'm tossing it across now to my colleague Pooja Shali, who will take over from here. Pooja.
Thank you so much. Paulami has been telling us exactly on the very big day as countdown begins to Uttar Pradesh Dangal. These are the latest visuals on your screen. Yogi Adityanath having filed nomination, and our reporters are on the ground for a perspective, for updates, for all the big news. Rahul Srivastav there also tracking precisely what the big guns are saying, and that's Abhishek Mishra tracking Yogi Adityanath's nomination procedure. Let's listen in.
मुख्यमंत्री योगी आदित्यनाथ ने अपना नामांकन दाखिल कर दिया और उनके साथ में गृह मंत्री अमित शाह जो कि जिलाधिकारी के कार्यालय चल रहे हैं। बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण आज का ये नामांकन हुआ है और खुद गृह मंत्री अमित शाह यहां पर उनके नामांकन के लिए आए और सीधे तौर पर ये कवायद थी कि यूपी में किस तरीके से बीजेपी की वापसी होगी, और इस वापसी के लिए खुद मुख्यमंत्री योगी आदित्यनाथ ने गोरखपुर को चुना है और यहां से वो एक बार फिर से ताल ठोक रहे हैं, लेकिन सांसद के तौर पर नहीं, विधायक के तौर पर, और उनके समर्थन के लिए यहाँ पे खुद गृह मंत्री अमित शाह भी मौजूद रहे हैं। साफ है कि यूपी की लड़ाई में किस तरीके से राष्ट्रीय संगठन ने भी सीएम योगी आदित्यनाथ के लिए योगी आदित्यनाथ के गृह मंत्री अमित शाह गोरखपुर पहुंचे। Cameraman Gorakhpur.
Right, that's Abhishek Mishra tracking the vehicle. Remember, that's been showered by flowers from party supporters and workers. Two visuals on your screen. Amit Shah totally in support, showing that Yogi Adityanath has the support of the top leadership while he files his nomination. On the other hand, waving to supporters and party workers as Amit Shah and Yogi Adityanath are out there interacting with the supporters and the voters. Rahul Srivastav, our national affairs editor, is on the ground and also is giving us perspective and updates. Rahul, this image of Home Minister Amit Shah, who's of course one of the biggest netas of the BJP, to ensure that it's not just support or words, but you're there when Yogi Adityanath files his nomination, stand with him, is of course reflective in many ways, don't you think, of showing who the next big gun for the Bharatiya Janata Party is, and that specifically for Uttar Pradesh.
Yes, I think it's adding to the equity. What the BJP has done today, that an ordinary exercise of filing a nomination has been turned into a big meal. The BJP is feasting on it and it's making a big splash. What it has done is by sending Amit Shah, the Home Minister, Dharmendra Pradhan, and the litany of leaders, and not just the BJP leaders, also ensuring that the BJP's key alliance partners, they may be small outfits, but have a very significant footprint in some caste groups. The Nishad Party, the Apna Dal, all of them are here. They were brought in largely to showcase that Yogi Adityanath one of the dominant faces of Gorakhpur at one time, is now an interstate national face for the BJP. What the BJP has also done by bringing in this entire Gorakhdham Peeth Puja is a very, very important element. It has got followers all over the world,
yes,
and in Uttar Pradesh definitely. What is also significant, Puja, that these are things which one has learnt over the years, that this Gorakhdham Peeth is not an ordinary place beyond the kind of devotion people have. You see, in the 60s, in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, in 67, Mr. Mahant Digvijay Nath won the Lok Sabha seat on Hindu Mahasabha ticket. He was the head of the Gorakhdham Peeth. And remember, in 1949, he was instrumental in getting the statue of Ram Lalla placed inside the Babri Mosque. In Adityanath, who was the mentor to Yogi Adityanath as the head of the Peeth, he was one of the key components of the battle for Ram Temple at Ayodhya. And now you have Yogi Adityanath heading that Peeth. So Amit Shah going with Yogi Adityanath to the Gorakhnath Peeth. All these are significant political messaging happening at a time when, remember, the BJP had done well in the last 3 elections because of a strong Hindutva wave riding on the Muzaffarnagar. There was a polarized atmosphere. That wave has ebbed down. It is lower than what it was. The BJP needs to send out new political messages which may have
absolutely. This is a way in reviving it. But as Rahul Srivastav has been telling us that, remember, this is Amit Shah himself, who's one of the big netas right after Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to have come down to Gorakhpur and just stand next to Yogi Adityanath. And of course, right now for UP BJP, the biggest name. So take a look now. After that nomination was filed, this is the Gorakhnath temple live visuals coming in. Amit Shah headed there. And remember, of course, all of this is of extreme significance because Yogi Adityanath, as he's known now, is the Mahant of the temple and has, as Rahul Srivastav also telling us, huge following. Let's just listen in to what's happening there at this point as Amit Shah is offering flowers and prayers. Home Minister Amit Shah there leaving from the Gorakhnath temple just a little while after Yogi Adityanath filed his nomination papers. It is very important, remember, even for Yogi Adityanath, as we see these visuals on your screen. Of course, he's been a 5 times member of parliament also. However, this time, it is going to be the assembly election, UP election debut for Yogi Adityanath, primarily to retain his chief minister's position. Just about an hour ago, there was a rally that was organized. What did Amit Shah say? What did Yogi Adityanath say there? Let's listen in.
2019 में आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में देश के गृह मंत्री के रूप में आपने अपनी जब पारी प्रारंभ की तो उस पारी के रूप में पहली सौगात दी थी और वह सौगात थी कश्मीर से धारा 370 को सदैव के लिए समाप्त करके देश से आतंकवाद का नामो निशान मिटाने का, और दूसरा जो कार्य है 500 वर्षों के इस इंतजार को जिसमें हम लोगों की सैकड़ों पीढ़ियां खप गई थी, अयोध्या में श्री राम जन्मभूमि पर भगवान राम के भव्य मंदिर के निर्माण का आज आपका गोरखपुर में इस आयोजन में आपका सानिध्य प्राप्त हो रहा है। मैं इस अवसर पर उत्तर प्रदेश के कार्यकर्ताओं के साथ ही गोरखपुर के इन सभी कार्यकर्ताओं की ओर से देश के यशस्वी गृह और सहकारिता मंत्री माननीय अमित शाह जी का हृदय से स्वागत करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं। माननीय अमित शाह जी ने जब 2013 में इस दायित्व का निर्वहन किया तो 2014 में भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने अभूतपूर्व सफलता प्राप्त की। देश के भारतीय जनता पार्टी के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष के रूप में 2017 में भारतीय जनता पार्टी को 3/4 से अधिक सीट उत्तर प्रदेश विधानसभा की दिलवा करके उस समय अपने कुशल संगठन क्षमता और भारतीय जनता पार्टी की ताकत का एहसास अपने राजनीतिक विरोधियों को कराया था। और 2019 में राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष के रूप में जब उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर एक महागठबंधन बना था, देश और दुनिया के तमाम जितने भी राजनीतिक विश्लेषक थे वे सभी इस बात को मानते थे कि अब तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी का क्या होगा यूपी में। और तब भी माननीय अमित शाह जी कहते थे कि उत्तर प्रदेश में भारतीय जनता पार्टी 64 से 65 सीट से कम नहीं जीतेगी। और भाइयों बहनों, 2019 के लोकसभा चुनाव में भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने भारी सफलता प्राप्त करके 64 सीटें अपने सहयोगियों के साथ जीत करके महागठबंधन को पूरी तरह फेल कर दिया था। भाइयों बहनों, उत्तर प्रदेश में 5 वर्षों के दौरान भारतीय जनता पार्टी की डबल इंजन की सरकार ने आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के मार्गदर्शन और उनके नेतृत्व में जीवन के प्रत्येक क्षेत्र में जनअपेक्षाओं पर खरा उतरने का प्रयास किया। सुरक्षा, आस्था का सम्मान, गरीब कल्याणकारी योजनाओं को बिना भेदभाव के हर गरीब को, हर किसान को, हर नौजवान को, हर महिलाओं तक पहुंचाने और विकास की बड़ी बड़ी परियोजनाओं को आगे बढ़ाने का कार्य जो किया वह इसलिए संभव हो पाया क्योंकि भारतीय जनता पार्टी की डबल इंजन की सरकार आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के मार्गदर्शन और उनके नेतृत्व में, माननीय श्री अमित शाह जी का मार्गदर्शन और उनका नेतृत्व, उनकी प्रेरणा निरंतर हम सबको प्राप्त होती रही। और आज उसका परिणाम है उत्तर प्रदेश और देश के अंदर भारतीय जनता पार्टी नेतृत्व के बारे में, भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकारों के बारे में कोई भी व्यक्ति एक नकारात्मक टिप्पणी नहीं कर सकता।
उत्तर प्रदेश में माफिया 3 ही जगह दिखाई पड़ता है, या तो वो जेल में है, या तो वो उत्तर प्रदेश के बाहर चला गया है, या तो सपा की विधानसभा सदस्यों की सूची में दिखाई पड़ता है। उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर से हर जनपद में एक माफिया बनाया था, वो राज करते थे। उत्तर प्रदेश की पुलिस माफियाओं से डरती थी। आज योगी जी के राज में स्थिति ये आ गई है कि माफिया स्वयं जाकर पुलिस स्टेशन के अंदर सरेंडर कर रहा है। मित्रों, सरेंडर कर रहा है। जी से गंगा एक्सप्रेस, बोलिए जी से। ओ से ऑर्गेनिक कृषि, बोलिए ओ से। आर से रोड, ए से एम्स, के से खाद का कारखाना, पीयू से पूर्वांचल एक्सप्रेसवे और आर से रीजनल मेडिकल रिसर्च सेंटर बनाने का काम योगी आदित्यनाथ ने किया।
All right, so that is, remember, a big day for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Yogi Adityanath files nomination for Gorakhpur urban constituency, and next to him, perhaps the biggest face of BJP to show who the next one will be. It was Amit Shah offering support to Yogi Adityanath today. And after the break, I'll be getting you